So, this summer we took a trip over to our old stomping ground, Tenerife. Now, if you didn't know, myself and Lauren used to live there, back in Tenerife in the day. We spent an entire summer working over there and had our own apartment, car and group of friends.
Yeah, it's safe to say that we know the area pretty well, so I thought who better to give you a list of the best things to do and things to avoid on this sun-soaked Canary Island.
Mix it up, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of us. Mix it up, mix it up, mix it up, mix it up. Welcome to Tenerife.
Now, first up we have Siam Park. This is the best water park in Europe. It's won award after award for the past 10 years and it's easy to see why. Now, if you take one thing away from this video, let it be this. Buy a fast pass and get there before it opens. If you don't buy a fast pass and you're traveling there during the peak of summer, you have zero chance of going on every single ride. You will spend your entire day queuing for hours in the blistering sun. So if you can't afford it, it is well worth the money. The ticket alone costs €40 and the fast pass costs €18.
You can only buy the tickets inside the park on the day, and once they sell out,
Thank God.
they sell them at a few different kiosks. When you enter the park, there's a gift shop and that's where we got ours. You get to skip the queue on each ride once, except for the Tower Power, that's not included. Once you get to the top of the queue, one of the guys will mark a ride off your wristband. One thing to note is on your wristband there's space for one extra ride to queue jump, and you get to choose your favourite.
We bought our tickets on this website and at the time we got them, it did include a free burger, which I will say was surprisingly delicious.
It was.
It was a bacon cheeseburger with salad and sauce and it was a decent portion. I will pop a link for this in the description.
Now, you don't have to buy food at the park. You can take your own packed lunch with you, and I would recommend bringing some sodas and waters as the drinks are quite expensive. The girls bought slush puppies that cost about £4 each.
Yeah.
So next up is kayaking. Now there's a lot of companies offering this tour. We found ours through Airbnb and we'll pop the link in the description below. We paid about £25 each for 2.5 hours on tandem kayaks.
That's another thing you should know, all the kayaks are tandem, so if you're an odd number of people, you will be paired up with a stranger. Now, our tour was interesting to say the least. We started off with 10 people and by the end of it, there were only 8 of us left. We had a couple who had never been kayaking before and they took to it like a cat to water. They just couldn't get the hang of it. And after capsizing 3 times, well, they decided to call it quits.
There were another pair of guys who just couldn't do it and landed the kayak on rocks near the shore, so we had to wait another 20 minutes for our guy to check that there was no damage on it, otherwise they would have sank. So off we went and paddled along until we reached the first fish farm where we were greeted by dolphins.
So many dolphins, like an entire family of them. The camera here just really doesn't do it justice, but it was epic. After our dolphin encounter, half the tour started getting major seasickness. The 2 guys started vomiting, one girl couldn't paddle, she was so nauseous, and then Lee started retching behind me.
It's true. Yeah, so safe to say that if you're going on this tour, definitely wear a nausea band and take seasickness tablets, as the waves can get pretty rough. After about 20 minutes of paddling, we arrived at the spot where the turtles frequent, so we all, apart from the 2 guys who were miserable and sick, jumped into the water and started snorkeling to find them.
If you've never worn a snorkel mask before, it is very difficult to get used to, but just be patient and keep trying. Eventually you will get used to it. Now, we didn't find any turtles, but this is largely due to weather and poor visibility in the water. The guides obviously have zero control over these elements, so if you do this tour, please be kind to them. It's not their fault. Our guide paddled in circles for over 20 minutes, desperately trying to find us a turtle. He was amazing.
So after that we made our way to the sea cave, and at this point the waves were so choppy that the 2 guys who were vomiting were too old to paddle, so they had to get towed back to the shore from the guide's friend.
We made our way back to land and we were all really enjoying the tour except for those 2 guys. One of them started to verbally assault the guide and then he tried to fight him while his brother held him back and apologised on his behalf. His mother then came running down the hill to intervene. It was wild. He was an asshole. It wasn't the guide's fault that he crashed into the rocks and almost broke the kayak at the start of the tour, and it certainly wasn't the guide's fault that he was seasick. He was just being a brat and he just brought nothing but bad vibes. So once he left in his huff, the rest of us enjoyed water and bananas back at the kayak shop. Now, please don't let our crazy experience put you off going. We all really enjoyed it. Getting up to dolphins that close in nature, just meters away, was incredible. Now, I know when you think of the Canary Islands, Japanese food isn't really the first thing that springs to mind, but hear me out. In Las Americas lies one of Tenerife's best restaurants, Imperial Thai Pan. This Asian fusion restaurant is packed every night, so if you want dinner and a show, this is the place to go. To sit at the teppanyaki table, you'll need to book your seat and table well in advance.
Once you arrive, you're given the option to choose from 8 different set menus, and prices range from anywhere in between €24 up to 99. Katie and I went for the Kita, which is a meat menu, while Lauren opted for the Higashi, which is surf and turf.
Now, let me quickly take you through the menu and experience. Firstly, I want to say the service is out of this world. Everybody who works there is so welcoming and friendly. The first course starts with miso soup with tofu and seaweed. It does have a fishy flavour, but nothing too overwhelming. Next up is the hibachi vegetables, eggplant, mushroom and onion with chicken yakitori, which is like teriyaki chicken skewers, and this was also accompanied by a flaming onion fire show. The chicken skewers are really tasty, not spicy at all, but really well seasoned and savoury. The next course was hands down my favourite. It was super thinly sliced beef, rolled up with onions and green veggies that were fried in butter. The meat was super tender and perfectly cooked.
Loads of flavour and life.
Yeah, it's really well seasoned, isn't it? Because it's good when even you approve.
Yeah, exactly.
Difficult Darcy when it comes to food. She only likes chicken goujon. Up next is the fish course, and for all the bougie people who splurged, they got lobster tail. I, however, had scallops in a soy sauce broth with green veggies and some flame-fried prawns. I will say for me personally, I do prefer scallops pan-fried. The texture of them in the broth was a little too mushy for me, but you could tell that they were really fresh. Now, at this point, we have to take an interval to give our tummies a break, so as a palate cleanser, we have lemon sorbet with a generous helping of vodka. Before moving on to the main course, we had a game to play called Catch the Egg. Finally, we arrive at the last course, where our amazing chef turns our rice from this to this, and eventually to this. We were each asked how we'd like our steak cooked, and to my horror, Katie orders hers well done, but even she couldn't get over how juicy the steak was, so hats off to the chef. Oh, and I do want to give you one final tip. If you are badly sunburnt, just like my little sister, maybe wear long sleeves, as the flames from the grill were causing her sunburn to flare up and she was in bits. Now for the bill. Okay guys, that was Imperial Taipan for the 3 of us. We had a couple of drinks, had like sodas, alcohol, beer. It came to €150 for the 3 of us. We got so much food, we're so full, couldn't possibly eat any more dessert.
So next up we have surfing. Tenerife is a surfing hotspot. You'll spot surfers from sun up to sundown on rocky beaches of Playa Las Americas.
We've actually never been surfing before, but we've been dying to try it, so we booked a lesson on Airbnb with Tilejet Surf School, which is just around the back of Park Santiago 2. The owner Nacho was super welcoming, and we paid £30 per person, and the lesson lasts 2 hours. We made our way down to the beach for the start of the lesson. Things were looking good until we actually entered the water. I don't really have footage of this because I was more focused on not drowning, but basically the waves became brutal. Myself and Katie kept getting pulled under constantly.
Not for me. The waves are far too big, and I feel like it's too dangerous, Katie. Yeah, it is. It's like I can't catch my breath. I can't catch my breath in time to get the wave because I keep getting pulled under. And I feel like I can't breathe. I can't catch my breath. I'm absolutely exhausted and swallowed. So look at Lee go! Look at Lee! You did so good. Yeah, it is exhausting. But Lee, you did so good. You got up on it. You took it on it. You're exhausted. So tired. It's so hard, isn't it?
I do want to say that the instructor was apologising for the conditions. He was explaining to us that the waves had changed and they were now coming from the south and the west, so they then cross over, which results in constant waves everywhere you look. He was really kind though. He took my GoPro out to get me some epic surfing footage, and I will definitely be trying surfing again. I just hope next time the conditions are in my favour. Full disclosure, we actually didn't have enough time on this trip to really leave Las Americas or Los Cristianos, but if you do have time, I would highly recommend leaving your resort. If you rent a car or get a taxi up past Park de Lorena, there is a banana plantation that makes authentic Canarian cuisine, and it is super affordable.
And when we lived there, they had live music and you were surrounded by banana trees. It was beautiful. It now hosts tours of the plantation and wine tasting. If you do visit, head up. The portions are huge, but if you don't finish it, they'll package it up in a doggy bag for you. If you see Tina Turner, Elvis Presley or Peter Andre singing in a restaurant, I can guarantee you that while the entertainment may be a hit, the food could be a miss. You'll also see a lot of restaurants offering free courses for €10, which is an absolute bargain, but just manage your expectations. You get what you pay for at the end of the day.
Last mention about food. Now, I'm never one to shade anybody on my channel, and I'm not a food snob by any means, but one night we had a Bora Bora on the beachfront of Los Cristianos and the food was disgusting. Carbonara had no bacon, no pancetta, no seasoning, no egg, and no cheese. It was literally just a bowl of pasta in cream with an inch of oil at the bottom of it. It was inedible, and I left hungry, and everybody else hated their food too, so yeah, avoid Bora Bora.
Although it did have fantastic views of Las Vistas Beach.
So this sun in Tenerife, to quote Gen Z, it hits different.
Now, Tenerife is an autonomous region of Spain, but it actually lies just 300 kilometers off the west coast of Africa, which gives it a unique blend of Spanish culture and African sun. This means that you're going to need to pack a good sun cream and apply it regularly, as in at least every hour. Yes, even on the overcast days where it's deceivingly cool, because you don't want to end up like this.
Now, if you do find yourself with prickly heat and covered in burns, I swear by natural tone rose hip after sun. It stopped me peeling and even turned my pink skin to a sallow brown, which is a miracle within itself. Lee would agree.
True.
I mean, I'm Irish, I wear a fake tan. Listen, it's great, but I couldn't bring it back to London because of the airport liquid limit. And 2 days after I stopped using it, I started peeling and my tan faded. So I will pop a link for this website down below. If you've watched the documentary Blackfish, you'll already know about Loro Parque's dark history. Prior to watching this, myself and Lee had been to Loro Parque, and even back then, when we left the Orcas show, we felt guilty afterwards.
True.
To be honest with you, I was kind of shocked to see that it's still open and being widely advertised around the island.
Here's the thing, if you want to see whales and dolphins, go on a boat tour and see them in the wild. There's so many boat tours to choose from private yachts and pirate ships. And sure, you're not going to see Free Willy, but you might see pilot whales, dolphins and even turtles. We went on a boat tour when we lived there and agreed it was much more enjoyable than going to the park.
Totally.
And that's it. That's our do's and don'ts for Tenerife.
I really hope you found some helpful information, and if you did want to give this video a like, subscribe for more travel content, and if you got any comments or questions, just pop them down below and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!
See ya.
Adios, amigos.
Ciao.